Have you ever wondered how one of the most powerful empires in ancient history, the Egyptian Empire, fell? Imagine a civilization that was the envy of the world, a civilization that thrived for thousands of years, renowned for its towering pyramids, immense wealth, and mighty pharaohs. And yet, despite all its glory, this once great empire collapsed, vanishing from the world stage in ways few could imagine. Today, we're going to dive deep into this mystery. We'll journey back in time over 3,000 years to unravel how this magnificent civilization rose so high, only to crumble so dramatically. Together, we'll explore the golden days of ancient Egypt, trace the slow and steady cracks that began to form, and finally, witness the moment this iconic civilization took its last breath. Stay with me until the end, because by the conclusion of this story, you'll understand not just how Egypt fell, but why it's a cautionary tale that still resonates with us today. To understand Egypt's decline, we first need to appreciate the staggering heights of its success. Ancient Egypt wasn't just another civilization, it was a beacon of human achievement. The Egyptians weren't just skilled builders and artists, they were also pioneers in medicine, astronomy, and mathematics. Living along the Nile, they developed sophisticated irrigation systems, transforming barren deserts into fertile fields that fed millions. The foundation of their empire was their belief in divine order and cosmic balance, known as Ma'at. Everything in Egypt, from the lives of farmers to the rule of pharaohs, was governed by this concept. Imagine waking up in the bustling city of Thebes or Memphis, with its massive temples and grand statues. Priests perform sacred rituals, and everywhere you look, there's a sense of reverence for the gods and the cycle of life. This wasn't just an empire, it was a culture that believed it was chosen by the gods to endure forever. But this confidence would be both a blessing and a curse. The Egyptians believed they were almost invincible, a perception that shaped their worldview, their decisions, and eventually their downfall. Our story takes a significant turn around 1500 BCE, during what's known as the New Kingdom. This was Egypt's golden age, when pharaohs like Thutmose III, Hatshepsut, and Ramses II expanded the empire to unprecedented levels. They pushed into Nubia in the south and ventured into the lands of Canaan in the northeast. Egypt had become a true superpower, but power comes with a price. As Egypt expanded, it encountered formidable foreign powers like the Hittites, a rising civilization to the north. Their encounters eventually led to the famous Battle of Kadesh, one of the largest chariot battles in history. This battle marked a turning point. While neither side could claim victory, the strain on Egypt's resources was profound. It was like the first crack in a dam, a sign that Egypt's unchallenged dominance was beginning to wane. Imagine the feeling in Egypt after Kadesh, a sense of pride, but also a subtle realization that they weren't invincible. For the first time, they encountered an enemy who could match them. And as they strained to maintain control over their empire, internal issues began to bubble to the surface. The troubles within Egypt were just as daunting as the threats from outside. Over time, Egypt's social and economic systems began to falter. The economy, once bolstered by tribute and trade, started to weaken. Without the flow of new resources from conquests, Egypt struggled. The wealth that once defined the empire was slipping through their fingers. Adding to the complexity, Egypt's leaders faced internal strife. The pharaohs, once considered living gods, were losing their authority. The noble class and priesthood grew increasingly powerful, creating a divided society where loyalty to the pharaoh was no longer guaranteed. There were whispers of betrayal, coups, and power struggles within the royal court. Imagine the chaos of this period, an empire slowly tearing itself apart from within. And then, as resources became scarce, the ambitious building projects that had once symbolized Egypt's greatness became burdensome. Temples and monuments were abandoned, and previously grand cities became shadows of their former selves. The Nile floods, which once brought life, became unpredictable, adding yet another layer of anxiety and uncertainty. Egypt, the ship of civilization that had sailed smoothly for centuries, was now taking on water fast. As Egypt grappled with its internal turmoil, a new threat appeared, one that no one saw coming. Around 1200 BCE, a mysterious group known as the Sea Peoples began sweeping across the Mediterranean. To this day, no one knows exactly where they came from, but their impact was nothing short of catastrophic. The Sea Peoples were like a force of nature, destroying civilizations in their path. Imagine the panic and fear that gripped the Egyptians as rumors spread of these invaders, a people who were unstoppable, relentless. Egypt managed to repel the Sea Peoples, but it came at a terrible cost. The effort drained what little strength Egypt had left. They had survived the storm, but they were broken, vulnerable, and far from their former glory. It's as if Egypt had been wounded deeply, left to slowly bleed. The invasion marked a point of no return. Egypt would never fully recover from this blow, and the decline accelerated. But Egypt's problems didn't end with the Sea Peoples. Internally, a new struggle for power was brewing, one that would pit the pharaohs against Egypt's most influential priests. The priests of Amun, one of Egypt's most revered deities, grew incredibly powerful. Over time, they amassed wealth and influence rivaling that of the pharaohs themselves. This rise of the priesthood was more than just a religious shift. It marked a division in Egypt's political structure. Imagine living in a society where the pharaoh, once considered an unchallengeable ruler, is constantly at odds with a shadow government of priests. This rivalry weakened Egypt's unity and authority, causing a slow but steady decay in its social fabric. Egypt was no longer a cohesive empire with a single leader. It had become a fractured state, unable to muster the unity needed to defend itself from threats both inside and out. And so, as Egypt weakened, its fate was sealed by the arrival of new powerful empires. First, it was the Assyrians, who saw Egypt's weakness and conquered it, integrating Egypt as part of their expanding empire. Then, the Persians arrived, treating Egypt as a territory to be ruled from afar. Egypt, once a proud and independent land, had become a prize to be won, a pawn in the games of larger empires. Imagine the heartbreak of watching Egypt, a once great empire, now ruled by foreigners who cared little for its culture, its history, or its people. The mighty monuments, the towering temples, they all remained, but they were relics of a power that had faded. The Egyptians themselves became subjects, living under the rule of foreign kings who barely understood the significance of the land they now controlled. The final blow came in 30 BCE, when Egypt fell under Roman control. The last pharaoh, Cleopatra, tried to resist, but even her intelligence, charisma, and efforts couldn't change the tide. Cleopatra's death marked the official end of Egypt's independence and the beginning of its time as a Roman province. Thank you for joining me today on this journey through ancient Egypt's fall. If you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to check out other videos on historical veils where we dive deep into the mysteries of the past. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and remember, the stories of history are never truly gone. They're waiting to be rediscovered.